What up? What up? What up? This is Mike, the philosopher, here along with Tamara. How you doing?
Hello.
All right. And I will say, uh, post, not or what post? Happy Mother's Day to you.
Thank
You
you.
know, I hope you enjoyed your special day. So, and that goes to all of the mothers out there who are watching. I hope you enjoyed your Mother's Day. Okay. Now, with that said, I kind of wanted to get into something that was is kind of buzzing around the net right now, which is the passing of Kevin Samuels, right? And what I kind of noticed is that there seems to be some sorrow and there seems to be some celebratory things going on around this. And I'm just kind of I need a woman's perspective on if you see this happening, or do you first of all, do you see this happening?
Yeah, so someone texted me and said, that he had passed. And so I went and Googled it because I don't always believe what's on the interweb. And then I just saw all these things. Now, most of what I saw was people being like, I can't believe y'all saying this crazy stuff. This man passed away. So I really saw people being most appalled by people's lack of humanity for celebrating that this man passed. So that was probably the biggest thing that I saw. I saw a couple people, not very many, that was like he was a misogynist, good riddance. And then I saw probably more people on the in the oh, we're gonna miss him. He had a platform, he had a strong message that everyone needed to hear. So that's what I saw.
Right, right, right. Um, yeah, that was some of the things that I was seeing too. It seemed like there was a bit of celebration, and I was taken aback by it too. I wasn't really happy about it. I don't think it's very kind to celebrate anybody's death, especially when it comes at a time that is, way too early. They clock been punched a little early.
Mm.
Um, and I was just wondering, like, why do you? I mean, look, I know that some people view him as a misogynist, but do people know that on men's he was critiquing men for 3 years before he got to women?
People
Most people.
probably, I know I didn't know that, and I don't think he was got famous by doing that. He got famous for critiquing women.
That's true. That's true. But he did. I mean, he has the video history to show he was critiquing men long before, even longer than he was the women.
Were you following him back then?
I got a hold of Kevin Samuels around, actually a little bit before the Average at Best video. So I've started to check for him a little bit before then, maybe a couple months before he got to that video. So when it went viral, I was like, wow, okay, because I was already looking at his material by that time.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that? Maybe that was maybe last year. Like whenever that video hit is when I started to follow some of the things he was saying. And I did see some of the videos where he was critiquing the men. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Do you think you would have
just
been
as
a fan of
harsh.
that? Did you agree, or would you have been as a
Well,
fan of that?
but here's the thing though. The thing with men is that a lot of things we take on the chin. We take on the chin. People say things. I mean, it's almost like, and I'm not trying to come off no kind of way, but I'm gonna just say it like this. It's almost like a battered a battered woman, right? Like men are so used, black men especially, are so used to being, uh, you know, you know, just devalued and stuff by everybody. And I know you're gonna have some pushback on this, and that's fine.
I'm
But we
not.
we get it from all angles, even our own women. So it's something we kind of used to taken.
So if he had continued that message, right?
He did it for 3
years.
years.
I'm saying, if he had continued it, would you have been as a strongest follower as you are when he was critiquing women?
I would have been. And here's the thing. I'm a person who can chew the meat and spit out the bone, right? So, I see what he was trying to do. I seen the big picture. And the big picture was to try to get the community back together so that we can come to the table and come and kind of renegotiate the contract of husband and wife and relationships. Because right now, ain't nobody signing a paper. Everybody think they're more valuable than what they are. And
do you think he was achieving that by either message?
Yes, I think he was, because what he was doing was humbling everybody. He humbled the men for 3 years, and the women said nothing. They didn't care. They probably.
How do you know people even knew about him? I know I ain't hear about him until he started talking.
I know, because women get word out. When
But
you start talking about women.
Fault? So then you should have been responsible for spreading the word about this fantastic guy that's saying all these things about Black men. Go check it out and see what you think. Like,
no, I mean, it's already out there though. It's like, what am I supposed to do? Be his marketing campaign?
I'm just saying, the way that you're spinning this is men take it on the chin, and we could just handle it, and it got big because women are so sensitive, and he's talking bad about them.
Well, but even you said you didn't hear from him for the first 3 years.
He didn't get famous till he started dogging out women, and I know from you, your big thing was he's the voice of men. You never told me he was the voice of women at any.
First, let me correct something. Mm-hmm. Kevin didn't dog out anybody.
I'm using the word critique, just like you did.
But Kevin corrected people. See, some people take very constructive criticism as dogging out. Mm-mm. Okay, pull your pants up, Black man. That's constructive criticism.
Telling somebody she fat and not cute enough for somebody is not constructive. I'm so sorry. I heard him when I was with you, ask this lady her height and her weight. Mm-hmm. That is not constructive. And I only heard 5-10 minutes of it.
If she wants was considered a high value man, why is that not constructive?
That is not constructive. That is not nice. So you were never going to get me to say that his style was good and it was positive, because it was not.
Well, look, those same women would want a particular type of man.
That doesn't mean you got to be talked to and treated that way. Nobody deserves that.
But if you want that type of man, you need to be told how to get that man, because your results are not showing that you can get that man. And this is for the women who called into his show, because none of these women were coerced into calling into his show. They were there strictly for his advice, and that's what he gave.
There was still a more respectful way in love to tell somebody that. You are never going to get me to say that the way and the style, the way he spoke to people, was respectful. It was not.
Sometimes.
And if he talked to men that way, it was disrespectful as well. Sometimes, no. There is a direct way to communicate with people that doesn't require you to degrade them. He did that, what I heard. Maybe that was a bad night that I happened to hear it, but I know the one time I heard it, I didn't think it was respectful, and it did not build the Black community.
So you only heard one show?
I heard a snippet, because remember, I didn't want to hear anymore because I didn't think that style was helpful.
Okay.
But now, if you think has married, the number of marriages ticked up from his message, then okay. But I bet it hasn't.
He
because
has gotten people
divided
right.
us even
He
more.
he has gotten people writing in and calling in and telling him thank you because of his advice. They are getting married. He got a couple lawyers married.
A
He got
couple, and how many millions of people that can't stand his
look,
message?
there's only a couple people that could call into his show.
Mm-hmm.
What I find interesting is that people take everything personal as if he's talking to them directly. He was only talking to the people who were calling into his show, and his
I don't
message
think
was
he should have been
specific
talking.
to those
He
people.
should have been talking to them that way. I mean, that's just me. I'm a human. I just feel like
If they
nobody
mind,
deserves.
they could have hung up, or they could have not called in at all. So obviously they didn't mind. So why do everybody else have a problem?
I think it divided the community. It's dividing us right now, right? So I don't think it was helpful. I think I never said anything about his message being bad. I said the way he delivered it was poor. And just like I get on you for the way you deliver your message, right? It's that is a because I, as a person who deals with people, I feel people, I manage people, they do not respond to that when you put people in defensive posture.
Okay.
They're not going to hear your message. They're going to push back on you. So you're actually not being that effective.
Sometimes in our community, you got to talk. You got to talk real rough and raw
You
because
don't have, I don't think you have.
and if you talk soft, people will talk over you and they won't pay attention to what you are saying. That is a fact, especially in our community.
Do you know, only time I feel like that's true when I'm talking to my dogs.
What?
I have to change my tone because they can feel that I'm speaking with authority. You don't have to do that.
But you don't live in the hood, Tamara. With all due respect,
I grew up in the hood. What do you? I just
you
left the hood.
You
What
live
you
in a
talking
nice
about?
community with white picket fences, and that's great. And I'm not knocking that. But what I'm saying is, when you're dealing with a certain type of people, you have to sometimes get down on their level to communicate with them. And that's what he had to do. He had to meet them where they are because he know just by and by doing that he would try to raise the level of these people and how they perceive themselves and how they look. I mean, he was a image consultant. So first you got to get down to their level and talk to them where they are, and then you have to bring them back up. It was never with
She was
any
bringing people back up because I don't
I
remember
never
her.
felt it was with any malice or anything like that. It was trying to help people and be constructive because these people called in for free. Now, from what I know, Kevin Samuel was an image consultant and people called into him privately. Okay. And he charged thousands of dollars an hour to talk to certain people.
But he didn't
And
talk to them like that for
he
thousands of dollars.
probably didn't. But guess what? If you're calling in for free and he has to maintain a level of entertainment, he has to kind of be shock jockish. Okay. That's what got him almost a million and a
Well,
half
and so
subscribers.
you should say that. So that to me, that's palatable. Not that you got to speak on people's level and dog their ass out so they can hear you, because otherwise they're not. That don't fly for me. But
Well, he
shock value and the hits totally makes sense.
okay. Well, that's that. It was a little bit of both. It was to meet them on their level, but it was also to be shock jockish because you do want it to be entertaining. You don't want it to be a drag or boring, right? So that's
I
what he.
wasn't
I mean,
entertained by
there
it,
are
but people do like to see other people get their feelings hurt, and if that's where we are in the world, then yes, that was entertainment.
yeah, because guess what? All of those people who called in knew who Kevin Samuel was, knew how he talked to other people, and they had no problem with. This is going to be hard to believe, right? But some people actually wanted to smoke. They actually wanted him to talk to them like their father. They actually did.
You know what I mean?
If
I
they
mean, I'm
didn't, if
not
they
built that way.
and you're
I
right,
think
right,
millions of other people
and that's
aren't
why,
built that way either, right?
right, and
So my
no,
thing
no,
is,
you
so
can't say that. You can't say that.
let's not celebrate that some people want to smoke, but there's a lot of people that did not appreciate it, and that's where you got the the Black community divided. That's where he wasn't effective, because just because there's some people who want to be talked to like they father, my dad didn't talk to me like that. So that's already
I
wrong,
know, I get that, but
right?
you,
But
like I said, you're
the
dealing with a lot
reality
of people who
is
don't
that
have a father.
that's
They
a
don't
lot
have
of
a father to talk to
generalizations
them
that
any
y'all are
kind of way.
making that seem like it makes sense. To me, it doesn't. That's why his message ain't for me, and it's not for a lot of people.
I get
So to
that,
sit
but
and
what I'm
say
saying
he
is
did
there are
great
a
in
lot
the
of
community,
people who don't have a father figure and don't talk to them any kind of way, and they were looking for. Look, a lot of these people were using Kevin. Okay, let's go there, because a lot of them had, I seen one woman with a, she had a business. She kept putting her business out there. They were actually getting something out of the situation too. Either they wanted to be low key, famous or whatever. That's why he had this little chime, "I'll make you famous," because he knew what people were doing. They were actually using him. Now, if they're going to use him to get on this platform, he's going to make it entertaining. I mean, it's going to be a give and take situation. You're not just going to use me because I'm Kevin Samuel and I'm not making it entertaining for the people watching. It was a victimless situation, because not only was it entertaining, and yes, it was shock jock, but he did give some sound advice to some of these people. At least that's what I seen, because a lot of them do need a reality check, both the men and the women. Okay, they needed reality checks, and you got people like Simon Cowell, you got people like Gordon Ramsay, you got people who are there's another jock, anyway, I forgot his name, but the point is there are a lot of these personality types out there, and they do create shock jock value, and Kevin Samuel was that for our community. But I just still find it kind of interesting that everybody took everything so personal, and not and he wasn't even talking to them directly. He was talking to the people that were calling in. Now, he did have some ideologies that he did push, and again, it was really to humble everybody. There were guys calling in talking about they want a baddie, this, that, and the third. And they doing third shift at Wendy's. And he was like, "Look, dude, that ain't gonna happen. Why would you deserve the highest or the most beautiful woman and you're not on top of your game?" He said that to a lot of the men. Men take it on the chin, you know what I mean? Because we're sort of used to getting critiqued a lot.
I think what my fundamental problem with his ideology was there was a lot of requirements on what women need to look like and how they need to be fun, fit, and some other F word. And then there was no
Friendly.
requirement on the men.
No,
And for
he
me, you break me because I have a requirement. If I need to look like Beyonce, you need to look like Laverne, right? Like you don't get to just. I'm
Laverne is your
sorry.
level
That's
now.
where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. And so that's where he had already just lost me. Like, okay, if you're gonna give a woman a requirement, what's the requirement of a man?
Okay, let me
And
tell you. Let me tell you his philosophy on that. Okay, his philosophy. This is not mine. This is his.
I'm sure you agree with
So,
me.
well, this is his philosophy. Um, Men don't need to look good. Okay, we just need to provide and protect. It's the woman's job to be the pretty one. You don't want a pretty boy worrying about his looks. You want a guy who is a protector and provider.
The
It
women
it
don't need to be attracted to you. You want a woman to be with you, and she not be attracted to
you're
you.
you're you're it's enough for a man to get to a level of being a great protector and provider. He
Hmm.
shouldn't be. This
You
is
don't have to be
why this is
attractive.
why
You can
hold
be
on,
ugly.
hold on, but this is why there are not a lot of um cosmetics and things like that for men. We're not supposed to be the pretty ones. The women are. Okay.
I think men need to be well kept. They need to wash their ass. They need to wear deodorant. They need a breath mint. They need
That's
their teeth straight. They
that's
need their skin
that's
clean.
that's fair
I'm not
enough.
talking about your genetic looks. Nobody has control about where your genetics came from. But the fact that you expect women who are beautiful, who can get any man,
Y'all
are going to
have
want
the
to be with a, well, hold on, that are going to want to be with a man who she's not attracted to, that's a recipe for disaster. That is not a long lasting connection.
That's all fine and dandy, but here's the thing. You know, most often when women ask for a guy and their preferences, it's not how he looks.
Mm.
It's how much money he makes. That's the number one thing on their list. So if that's the number one thing on your list, then that should be the thing that the men work on the most,
I really
right?
wish we were in a panel discussion with other women so that they could correct.
Maybe we could
Because
probably
I
try to
feel
set
like
that
a
up.
lot of what you and Kevin come up with is a certain demographic of woman. That's why this generalization of how things need to be for like most people doesn't hold, because I don't know a woman that want an ugly man. I don't know one. I don't know a woman that want a heavy man where she can't find his the body parts that matter. I don't know her. So there's a disconnect for me between what y'all say is valued and really what's valued. And I also think it perpetuates the wrong kind of value system. Is women are after money and men are after sex. I do believe that's fundamentally where things are, but that's not a good value, because first of all, the woman finna get old looking and she's not gonna keep her body together. So then where do you leave it? As he gets fat, flabby, and 40, because I got that from a TV show. She, what is that? And then if let's say he
That's
can't,
body
he loses
shaming,
the
by the
ability to
way.
make money. What is that? Doesn't that fall apart? That just
But
doesn't. I just don't think
but
that's just very transactional. I don't think it's
but
long lasting.
yeah, but here's the thing though, Tamara. We have to start dealing with some realities, okay? We have to start dealing with some realities. The realities is women like money. That's not you there are exceptions to every rule, okay? But generally, women like money. I haven't met a woman who don't like money, okay? And men like sex. It just is what it
Great,
is.
but when it falls apart, because neither one of those is sustainable, to be quite honest, he gonna eventually retire and can't make money. She's eventually can't keep her body up because it's gonna catch up to her. And then where are the people? They're at a reset. You finna go look for you a 29-year-old, and then she's left with what?
We're not
I
necessarily
just don't
talking
think
about
that's the
retired
best.
people. We're talking
But
about people in
but
some of their
that's
primes.
not a recipe for a successful life, long lasting
People not
relationship.
thinking about that.
Oh, okay. So
They're
I shouldn't
thinking,
even be having this conversation associated with ready to love, because that's not what we're talking about. We talking about transactions with this.
but that's what he was
Okay.
talking about. That's where the culture is right now, is transactional. It's women. I mean, if you look, I mean, if you look even just on social media, you'll see that
You know, you can't believe social media. That's everybody representative. How are you judging people on social media? That is not
Tamara,
accurate.
people are taking social media and they are incorporating it into their real lives. They see people like Kim Kardashian. They see people, there are women now who are famous for nothing other than being women. Okay.
But that's not for the it's not for the average person. Why are you using
But
Kardashian as a platform for the
because
average
these
person?
women play models and the women following them try to follow that lifestyle.
But and the lifestyle is fake, because they show the same picture
Yes, and
of Kim Kardashian with her
it's a
feet
lot of
swollen.
fakeness going on right now.
Yeah.
This is not a real culture we living
So
in,
why are you using a fake culture to apply to real people? Help me.
because real people are disappearing. That's why
Okay.
everybody is turning into this hypergamous and overly sexualized society right now. And people like Kevin Samuel was trying to correct that. We see that it is getting out of control. Divorces are at an all-time high. People are not getting married. The population is decreasing. And when you see these hard statistics, you have to look at society and say something is broken and something is wrong. And Kevin was one of the people who was saying, look, y'all need to get married. Now, what we got to do to get to the table? What we got to do to
You gonna
to
marry
negotiate?
somebody who you got a transactional situation with, and then be surprised when y'all get a
No,
divorce. I don't.
he's trying to take away all of the transactions. That's what I'm saying. He's trying to take away, because here's what he was finding. Here's what he was finding, not me. Okay? He was finding that women want it all, and they were asking for too much. They want a rich guy who's hung long, who's got all the sixes, okay? The six figures, the six pack, and what's the other one? 6 feet. You know what I mean? So they want it all. They want too much, and then they come looking basic as can be, and it wasn't real. It's not sustaining. This is why a lot of people are single in their 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, because there's unrealistic expectations. Okay. So what he's saying is, listen, let's go back to the negotiating table. Let's get rid of all of these asking. You want your man to be
And
cute
let's go
now?
back to this. Let's go
It's
back to the
enough.
60s. That's where he's taking us. Back to the 60s, where the women just got the right to
People
vote.
people
And they
were
still
people
had
were
to vote
married
where their
back
husband
then,
told
and the
them to vote.
population was growing back then.
I'm telling so you're saying it's better for us where we went back to the 60s where the women just got the right to vote and they're voting with their
This
husband. What
has
he
nothing
telling
to
them
do
to
with
vote.
voting. This has nothing to
I'm
do with
telling you, but
voting.
that's what was happening in the time that you love, that you guys are touting. It was a time where women had to vote where their husbands voted, and they didn't have control or say over what happened to their body. So just let's be real clear on what you're saying, because you're taking us back in time where there was no equality. But I know that's where you wanted to go, because that's the only way this type of conversation can hold water, when women had a place and a box, and men had a place and a box, and nobody tried to do anything different.
What do
Nobody
you?
tried to use their brain outside their box. That's where you want it. And
I.
the only way you're
Why are
going
you
to develop
saying me?
that,
I said this is his
that's
philosophy.
that's yours too, babe.
Let me ask you this one last question, okay? Roe versus Wade. What do you think that that's about?
I haven't been following it, but what I understand is that they're trying to overturn it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy that that's happening. That's crazy that um that this world that has made so much progress is trying to turn back the clock to where there was very little equality for people. And I just, that it kind of breaks my heart that that's what's happening today.
Yeah, it is something, and I've been pro choice. I'll just say I've been pro choice. So, I believe a woman does have a right to do that. But I want to know from you, what is the reasoning you think they out of all the things, why do you think they're reversing that one?
I cannot say what my real thoughts are on that on a public platform. I will not say it.